How's it going, everybody? Landon here with TBS. Excited about this edition here with my good friend Chuck from Caledonia Haulers.
Caledonia Haulers.
I said that right. I'm proud of myself. Aren't you proud of me, Chuck?
I am proud of you.
That's good. I got to shake hands twice. So, Chuck, we had a great time talking at lunch and really getting to know each other a little bit better. And it's just, I can't thank you enough for your time here.
Oh, thank you.
Because we're really talking about the trucking industry. But before we get into that, because I know that's a big topic, especially with your experience of 39 years.
It's a long time.
39 years in the industry, which is outstanding.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about Caledonia Haulers.
We're celebrating our 60th anniversary, so we've been 60 years in food grade. Very humble beginnings. Dennis Gavin, our owner, and is still a family-owned identity. Dennis's dad started it back in 1958, and they started out with one truck, and they were hauling milk off the farms.
Right.
And then as it evolved over the years, Dennis had the good fortune of taking over the company from his dad, and has really done a great job of moving it forward.
That's great.
And today we're running with 200 plus power units here, and other power units for our
from one truck to over 200 power units.
Yes.
That is huge.
Yes, it is amazing. It's kind of a neat storyline.
So you have a pretty extensive background. I mean, you've been on the road. How long were you? You still drive a little bit today, correct?
I drive some today. You know, in my career, I've been able to do different things, not just drive, but I've been able to do different things. But transportation is just always been my favorite.
Right.
There's a tremendous amount of pride, and there's a tremendous amount of unity, as you can see here today.
Right.
And when you can engulf that together, unify it, it's amazing. It is. I don't know. I can walk down the aisle here and just get goosebumps.
Right.
It's just that awesome.
It is. So tell me a little bit about from when you first started driving to where you're driving now.
Yeah. What's
the biggest difference in trucking that you're seeing?
You know, today there's a tremendous amount of chatter about e-logs and about regulations, and there is. It's a real issue for our industry. It is. My oldest son went with me, who is our operations manager now. Used to sit on the doghouse years ago, and we just go everywhere together. And back then we didn't have cell phones, we didn't have Skyping or laptops, so you talk to each other.
Right.
And so that led him into this industry, and he drove, and then he went into logistics, and he stayed with it. And so it's to work with one of your children is interesting in itself, but more so the difference is the way the industry is growing is how do we take that simplicity of the 70s and 80s.
Very good question.
And put it into perspective today. Like we talked at lunch, what's your child going to grow up and be? Oh, my son or daughter is going to be a truck driver.
Right. It's a little different. It's a little different today.
It even sounds weird to say it.
I know. It's the appeal. I have children myself.
Yeah.
I have 3 boys, and I love the industry. I've been in the industry for over 10 years. Just passionate about what we get to do every single day. It's just an honor, really.
Yes.
But my boys aren't talking about trucking.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That appeal from your son to get him in the industry is different with my boys.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. It's a challenge.
We had a roll and rally event in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, a few weeks back. I have to share this.
Yes.
I had this 9-year-old boy in a green fluorescent t-shirt. It was just a joy, and he came back 4 times.
That's great.
And finally his mother said, gosh, we're sorry to bother you. And I said, no, that's all right. I said, if you want to walk down the aisle, he can stay right there in the truck. And we did it upright. We had Pokemon sheets in the bunk.
That's great.
Cartoons on the TV, but he just wanted to sit in that seat.
Right.
So I said, do you think we should start the motor up? What do you think? Really? I said, yeah, really. Let's fire this thing up, should we? And it was really a neat moment because it brought back, a lot of feelings from when my son was, back then there was simplicity to things. If you were going down the road at night and there wasn't a lot of traffic, he'd come over and sit in my lap.
Right.
And we'd just drive down the road.
Exactly.
And we have a standing joke that I should have probably left him at a truck stop a long time ago because he just loved to talk. And but it was the simplicity of it. And I think that's what we need to bring back to our industry.
Right.
And we look to you to help us with that. It is a great industry.
It is.
You know, when you compare it to sales jobs, a traveling salesman, I've had the liberties to do that. Your home is here.
Right.
Very comfortable home.
Right.
There's pride in what you do. People say it's not near as lonely as it used to be, and it's not because we have
technology.
Technology. I mean,
Exactly.
we got every kind of radio to talk to and be a part of, and really just stay informed.
So let's expound upon that a little bit when it comes to the simplicity side of this, because a lot of people in the industry say that we've skipped a generation, so to speak. The average age that you're hiring is in the 40s.
Yep, 46.
Some of them, you know, the average age of a driver is in the low 50s, depending upon the reports that you're reading.
Yes.
So how do we bring the simplicity and reach that next generation from your experience? Because I know you're here at Iowa 80, behind a recruiting tent. You're wanting to talk to other drivers, obviously.
Yes.
You're always wanting to talk to people that are wanting to get into the industry. So how do we take the simplicity into the next generation with all that's out there right now? What do you think?
You know, it's a very good question, and you get a tremendous amount of different answers, and I'll try to answer it this way. We started mobile recruiting last fall, a very humbling experience where you drive into a parking lot and you go knock on doors. It's you got to pull your bootstraps up and do it.
Right.
And in the 6 months we've been doing mobile recruiting, I've had the opportunity to talk to hundreds of drivers.
Right.
What an experience. A tremendous amount of good people. So I've tried to tap into them to answer that question too. And I think what we just need to do is work more at the high school, grade school levels, like we did the art contest.
Very good idea.
You know, they're baby steps, guys. They're very, very, very fragile steps. But we're finally addressing what needs to get addressed.
Right.
This is a good industry. Logistics, driver managers, technicians, drivers. And if you can just bring the awareness to it.
Right.
Our industry has not done that because of the skipping a generation.
Sure.
We haven't. Shame on us, but it's changing.
Sure, but we can fix it.
But it's changing.
We can definitely fix it.
Yeah. And I love the energy of the industry. Just to be able to walk in and visit, strike up a conversation.
Right.
You guys gave me a pair of sunglasses. I should probably have them on. And
You gotta love the sunglasses.
but
You gotta throw that out there.
But you know what? It breaks it down, and it
does.
makes it okay. So that's what we're really trying to do, is just saying this industry is a fascinating industry. I mean, think of it. We haul over 150 different liquid food grade products in that tank.
Right.
And like we discussed at lunch, sometimes we're the whole part of your beverage or your food. Maybe we're just one small ingredient.
Exactly.
But to be able to be a part of that, yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's big. I mean, going back into the grade schools, going back to the high schools, really getting integrated there to be able to show the awesome side of the industry is a very good idea.
Yeah.
Every carrier needs to be doing that, or at least have a plan in place. And from the state associations to the local associations to the national associations, need more support behind that when it comes to getting into the younger generation where they're at now.
Absolutely.
So they can see the awesome side of this industry.
You know, it's like when you work with different colleges, like I just use Kirkwood as the example. We use Southeast Winona Tech College. You know, the programs that they're just starting to work on now, and we're actually working with Kirkwood on this now, is to underwrite a program for just logistics.
Right.
And just driver managing. And, you know, maybe we should just do psychology classes and call it good.
What about mechanics?
But and mechanics as well.
Mechanic shortages there as well.
The tech side. So we're just starting to really deep dive, I guess is a good way to phrase that, into it. But as a whole, I think the Iowa group and the Minnesota group, maybe I'm a little biased because I'm involved in these two states so much, but there's really some positive direction coming out of it, and I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that for years.
That's good.
So the crusade I think is working. It's nice to be a part of it. I hope to give the industry at least 10 more years.
That's great.
My health holds up, maybe more, but
I'm sure it will.
and I appreciate you guys coming out here because we're looking for ideas. I think sometimes our own pride, we fall over our own pride.
Right.
And today, just talking with all the exhibitors and such, boy, I tell you, we're all hungry for your knowledge. So anything you can do to help us is great. This is awesome.
This is awesome. And so we've talked about the driver recruiting side, being able to reach the next generation. Let's shift gears a little bit and talk about a very painful topic, but one that's important because you have this conversation a lot with everybody you speak with. That's regulations. We were talking about ELDs inside. What do you think the impact that ELDs has had on the industry thus far? I know it's still kind of a new topic. Some people have adopted and fully been on board for several years. Some rogue drivers out there are just still, I'm not going to change until I get caught. What's your take from your perspective?
You know, anytime they come out with a new program like this in the enforcement of it, you know, the hardest question is, do they really understand what they've just done?
Exactly.
And it's in the back of everybody's mind. I'm of the opinion of this: it does not make us safer. It has its benefits of cleaning up certain bad habits.
Right.
It gave us new measurement tools, and to some degree, it gave us better honesty. But when you have to stop in the middle of a day when you're wide awake for 30 minutes because it's the law, or you're wide awake and you know you can safely drive for another 2-3 hours and you can't,
right?
Or you have to get up when your clock starts at whatever time. It's not the fact that it can't work, but it's tough to attract a driver to say you're regulated.
Right.
The industry used to be about the freedom part. It used to be, that's what it was about. And if you look at the stats, I don't really know if we're that much safer from it. I would like to hope we are, because you hope any program makes it better, and we all just need to adapt and understand. But in this case, there really needs to be some deep dives to clean it up a little bit better, to make it more driver friendly.
Right.
If I'm awake, if you and I are going down the road right now, and I said, well, we're going to have to pull over here and stop at this next off-ramp for 30 minutes. Well, Chuck, we're going to be late for our load. Yes, we are. But the law says we have to stop. Now, the argument is, well, just plan it better. Just plan it better. And we do, but the whole industry, if there's a positive in e-logs, it's making the whole industry probably do a better job with logistics, one. Number two, do a better job of working with the customer, saying, you know, do we really need to unload this at 2 o'clock in the morning? Do we really need to do that?
Right.
Can't we make it work so that we can run in more daytime hours? Because from a recruiting standpoint, it's very hard to tell a driver that, you know, 40% of your driving time is going to be at night.
Right.
Some it doesn't bother, but in the back of your mind, you still want to go to bed. You know, that's just the way our rhythms work. So, and then it's an inconsistent schedule. And the hard part with e-logs is it's made that more difficult for driver managers to get him miles, to get him paid. Right. And the expense of it is you do sit more. That is true. The way it is.
That is true. Does over-regulation impact driver recruiting when it comes to those who don't have their CDL yet?
Yes, it does. You know, it's one thing to explain how to drive a unit. You're going down the road at 65, 70 miles an hour, 80,000 pounds, bumper to bumper traffic. It's one thing to teach and train someone how to really maneuver and manage. But then at the back of his mind on his dash, he's watching his time and his numbers, and it's kind of a double edge there. That's true. To tell him that your freedom is simply regulated, it's not an attraction.
That's true.
We're not in this industry to break laws and and nobody wants to hurt anybody. We want it safe. But I do think, and I hope that in the next year or two, we really look at ELDs and say, hey, we need to really sit down and put some common sense into this thing.
I couldn't agree with you more. Couldn't agree with you more. Last topic. Let's talk about the respect in the industry a little bit more. You hinted that a little bit when it came to what it used to be back in the 70s and 80s. What overall do you think your impression is of people that aren't in trucking? How do they look upon trucking today?
You know, I'm a Midwest guy. When you're in the Midwest here, we're looked at a little bit differently than when you get into the big city. And I won't pick on any certain big city.
That's good.
But
we have a lot of people watching.
There's an awareness missing. as operators, drivers see so much texting on phones and so much inattentiveness. And that inattentiveness sometimes makes that driver, that vehicle, think that we've done something wrong, or that we're not being respectful. Nobody likes to get cut off. Nobody likes all the petty stuff that goes in it.
Sure.
But unfortunately, I still think as a whole, trucking is still not looked on as a class act job. I really do believe that, and I don't want to sound like a grumpy old man here, but
you're not.
I think
it's good to be honest.
I think we could do a lot more. I hope that at the school level, and you all know it's going to take years and years to get it back to where it should be. But you know, we have like any profession, we have drivers with degrees, doctorates, some right out of school. Everybody from different facets, and it's an industry that once they get into it, a lot of times they stay with it.
Right. It's a very addicting industry. Once you go trucking, you don't go back.
It is
I mean,
amazing.
That's what I hear, and that happened to me. I got the bug.
The difference today, to summarize it, is, you know, currently drivers aren't jumping around like they used to. It has changed. 3 years ago, my goodness, I mean, we had a steady flow of applications coming in, and you could really run your programs and have those exhibits where we have something better. You will do better. The industry today has all gotten better. Driver pay is finally getting where it should be.
That is true.
And I hope I see in my lifetime, I hope our drivers will make 6 digits and more. It's getting there and it's close. But really back to the roots of it, the awareness to the public that we just can't stop these things on a dime.
Right.
We can't always control, you know, what's in front of us.
That's true.
There's a dynamics with it.
Right.
And when I go talk to schools, you know, I like to talk about the food grade industry. I like to talk about the type of money they're going to make, their lifestyle, and then we talk about driving the truck.
Right.
Probably should start with driving the truck because that's what it is. But I think you have to start out in the big picture and not just, well, you want to drive our truck and make some money.
Right.
No.
That's the wrong approach. I love the bigger picture approach. It's definitely to be able to cast that vision so they can see the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Very
and
important.
You know, food grade, I'm very biased to food grade. I've had opportunities to pull other things than just liquid food. But, you know, the personality, when you go with your load and they're receiving you, there's just a real good energy. They want your product, they need your product. And most places we go to treat you very, very nicely.
That's good.
It's really neat to get out and get greeted, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so it's fun. Or you can pull in here at any time and you get out, somebody will say, hey, how's it going? You know, it's a people business.
It is a people's business.
And I think we're going to try to sell that. We're going to try to sell the fact that it's still a people business. There's a lot of pride in it. And yes, we're regulated, but we're not going to let that overshadow something that has such a good tradition to it. So,
well, Chuck, it's been an honor talking to you, friend. I can't thank you enough for all your feedback, your years of experience, all that you've done in the industry. Thank you from all of us to someone that's literally on the road and also in the tent to be able to recruit the next generation of truckers. Best of luck to you. Truly appreciate your time.
Yes, thank you all.
Absolutely.
Have a good show.
Well, I'm Landon with TBS. We'll see you next time on the next TBS Live.